At their 50th wedding anniversary, John D. Rockefeller, the wealthiest human being alive, stood before his family and said 7 words that stopped the room. "I have had but one sweetheart, and I am thankful to say I still have her. 50 years, through the founding of Standard Oil, through the Cleveland massacre, through the railroad deals, and the antitrust battles, and the government investigations, and the public hatred, and the physical collapse. One woman, one partnership. The same woman he had known as a schoolboy with nothing in his pocket and nowhere near the ambition he would eventually find. Her name was Laura Celestia Spelman, and most people who know everything about Rockefeller know almost nothing about her. That is a mistake. Because the more you study the Rockefeller fortune, the more you realize that Laura Spelman was not a footnote to the story. She was a foundation of it. By the end of this episode, you will understand exactly why. This is the Rockefeller Code. It was 1855, Cleveland, Ohio. John D. Rockefeller was 16 years old. A serious, focused boy with a leather ledger in his pocket and 2 ambitions written on its first page: to make $100,000 and to live to 100 years old. Laura Celestia Spelman was the daughter of Ohio State legislator Harvey Buell Spelman. While attending high school in Cleveland, she met a young man named John Davison Rockefeller. Laura had delivered the valedictory address at Cleveland Central High School, a speech titled, "I Can Paddle My Own Canoe," making a strong case for the right of women to pursue cultural and independent thought. Among the members of the senior class listening attentively was her friend John D. Rockefeller. Think about what this tells you about Laura Spelman before she ever became Laura Rockefeller. At 14, she is delivering the valedictory address at her high school. Her speech is titled, "I Can Paddle My Own Canoe." She is asserting female independence and intellectual ambition in an era when neither was expected or encouraged. This is not a woman who would be content to be a quiet, decorative presence in a wealthy household. She was as disciplined, as principled, and as intellectually rigorous as the young man who was watching her from the audience. She became a Baptist, like her husband, and the church provided the substance of their social life. They were matched in values, in faith, and in discipline from the very beginning. On the 8th of September, 1864, Laura married John Rockefeller, and the couple would have a total of 5 children together. Standard Oil would not be founded for another 6 years. When they married, he was a produce merchant. Successful but not yet extraordinary, she married the potential, not the achievement. And from the first day of their marriage, she ran the household with the same precision and discipline that he applied to his business. Every dollar tracked, every expenditure justified. The 10% giving rule, which he had practiced since his first paycheck, she reinforced, honored, and lived by alongside him. Despite their increasing means, Laura taught her children the value of work. Each child had a small plot in the vegetable garden and pulled weeds from the lawn. Laura began the day with family prayers, followed by readings at breakfast. In addition to their studies and household chores, her children had to practice music. The wealthiest family in America, and the children are pulling weeds from the lawn. This is Laura Spelman's influence, not the indulgent, wealthy household that most people would expect. A disciplined, purposeful, faith-driven home where wealth was treated as a responsibility, not a license for excess. Spelman and her husband were both devoted to philanthropy. They strongly believed in living for duty and not for enjoyment. Despite their enormous wealth, Laura maintained a simple and at times frugal home life. The man who was ruthless in business came home every evening to a household that reminded him that money was a tool, not a destination. So what specifically did Laura Spelman contribute to the Rockefeller fortune? Because it was not business strategy. She never sat in a boardroom. She never negotiated a railroad deal. Her influence operated at a deeper and more fundamental level. She kept the giving alive. At every stage of Rockefeller's wealth building, when the ambition to accumulate more could easily have overridden every earlier principle, Laura was the constant reminder of the original commitment. 10%, every paycheck, no exceptions. The discipline that he had learned at his mother's knee and practiced since age 16 was reinforced daily by the woman he lived with. She established the family culture, 5 children raised in a household of enormous wealth who understood the value of work, the obligation of giving, and the importance of faith. That culture would propagate through generations, shaping how Rockefeller Jr. managed the next phase of the fortune and how his children managed the phase after that. Throughout their lives, the Rockefeller family continued to donate 10% of their income to charity, including substantial donations to Spelman College, founded to educate black women. Spelman College, one of the most respected historically black colleges in America, bears her name today. Her influence on where the money went and what it stood for outlasted her by more than a century. And she kept him human. Through the years, when the public hated him, when the press called him a robber baron and a monster, when the government was dismantling everything he had built, he came home every evening to a woman who had known him before any of it, who saw the 16-year-old boy with the leather ledger, and who never allowed the empire to become more important than the man. By 1900, Laura's health began to fail, and by 1910, she was mostly bedridden. Throughout her last years, Rockefeller proved a close companion. The man who had delegated the management of a global empire to subordinates who had stepped back from every operational detail of Standard Oil, personally attended to his wife through her long final years. He was beside her, consistently, without delegation. On the 8th of September 1914, John and Laura celebrated their golden wedding anniversary at Pocantico Hills. The children gathered for the anniversary dinner. "I have had but one sweetheart," John said, "and I am thankful to say that I still have her." Laura Spelman Rockefeller died of a heart attack on the 12th of March 1915 while Rockefeller was in Florida. The funeral, held 3 days later at Pocantico Hills, was private, attended only by family and a few dear friends. He outlived her by 22 years. He founded the Laura Spelman Rockefeller Memorial in 1,918 inches her honor. He never remarried. The principle behind this episode is one that almost every serious examination of great wealth eventually arrives at, and almost nobody talks about publicly. The partner you choose is one of the most consequential financial decisions you will ever make. Not because a partner brings money. Laura Spelman brought no money to the marriage. Her father was comfortable, but not wealthy by Rockefeller's eventual standards. She brought something far more valuable. She brought alignment. Alignment of values. Alignment of discipline. Alignment on the giving principle. Alignment on what the money was for and what it was not for. Alignment on how children should be raised in the presence of wealth. Alignment on the fundamental purpose of building something larger than oneself. A misaligned partner, one who encourages spending when the discipline says save, who undermines the giving when the pressure says keep, who seeks the display of wealth when the strategy says hide its true size. That misalignment compounds against the fortune as surely as aligned values compound for it. Studies of long-term wealth accumulation consistently show that financial alignment between partners is one of the strongest predictors of generational wealth building. Not income, not investment returns, not inheritance. Alignment. Two people building in the same direction with the same values and the same discipline is a compounding force that dwarfs almost every other variable. Rockefeller did not choose Laura Spelman for her money. He chose her for her mind, her values, her discipline, and her faith. In return, she gave him 50 years of partnership that reinforced every financial and moral principle he had built his life around. They made each other more capable of building wealth than either could have been alone. I have had but one sweetheart, and I am thankful to say I still have her. 50 years of marriage, 5 children raised with discipline and purpose in a household of enormous wealth. A college bearing her name, still educating thousands of women every year. A giving principle she reinforced daily that shaped 7 generations of one of the most consequential families in history. The fortune was built on oil, but it was sustained by something more durable than oil. By values, by discipline, by faith. By the daily reinforcement of a partnership built on alignment rather than convenience. Choose your partner with the same care you choose your investments. Both compound. Both are irreversible. Both define everything that follows. That is the code. This is the Rockefeller Code.